We are doing part 2 of our astrological signs and decans for the tarot. I did part 1 yesterday, and part 1 was specifically centered on the court cards. And we worked through the pages, knights, kings, and queens. And we broke down their astrological seasons, which is basically ruled by pages. The pages are very similar to the aces in our Minor Arcana, or in our Minor Arcana. So what we're going to do here is we're going to focus a little bit more specifically on the planets within their signs and the decans. So this is going to be very comprehensive. I got the deck that I'm going to be working with. I'm going to have the Rider-Waite-Smith, like I did with my other deck, to do a comparison with, so you could see the images. And if you do have a tarot deck with you, I suggest pulling out the Minor Arcana. Now, it's best if you have a tarot deck that is with the Rider-Waite-Smith system, just so you can follow a little bit easier. Don't pull out an overly modern contemporary deck where the associations could be a little bit more misleading or hard to understand. So if you have a Rider-Waite-Smith influenced tarot deck, bring that out, pull out the Minor Arcana, pull out the court cards, and do them in this order: Wands, Cups, Swords, Pentacles, the Aces through 10. And that's how I'm going to break this down. So we're going to be looking at about 40 cards here in this time. So again, if you have a tarot deck and you just want to follow through, or you want to go back and look at this video and sort of follow suit with your own tarot deck, you can do that. But again, it's best if you just keep to a traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, influence deck. And the deck that I'm going to be using throughout this series, besides the standard Rider-Waite-Smith deck, is I'm going to be using the Pagan Otherworlds deck. That deck just works perfectly. I was looking on my table here with all my tarot decks and wondering what deck would be the best to work with. And this one just worked out because it's pip oriented, not too many situational scenes involved in the Minor Arcana. So it's very straightforward. You can focus on the elements that are shown in the card, and then slowly get to be introduced to the decans and the signs. There are some astrological decks that are out there that are focused with the astrological signs and planets. I've still yet to find a deck, an astrological deck, that really fits perfectly to do readings with. I'm trying to find that perfect balance. But anyhow, that's something that if that deck comes to me, I'll let it come to me, and I'll work with it. And of course, I'll share it with you. So we're going to do in this order: Wands, Cups, Swords, and Pentacles. Okay. So I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison so you can see with the Rider-Waite-Smith and then Pagan Otherworlds. And I'm going to be pretty straightforward with this. I'll give brief explanations, but I will include links that you could get further information. I have on my website a breakdown of the astrological decans based on their elements and also their signs. And that's probably about 3 or 4 pages, but it's pretty straightforward. I don't write a book. I just like to give brief explanations and let people learn from that and explore through the tarot. So here we go. We're going to do, again, in the order of Wands, Cups, Swords, and Pentacles. Okay, so we're going to have I have my notes here because there's no way I'm going to remember 40 different elements and planets based on the suits. Down the line, the more I work with this. So our Two of Wands, well, I'm sorry. Let me back up here a little bit. Let me see here. I have my notes. Oh dear. We'll do the aces. This I can do straight off the bat. So the aces and the minor arcana, as I mentioned, the pages are sort of similar. The pages in the court cards are related seasonally. So the page of wands relate to the fire signs, and page of cups will relate to water signs, but their placement is slightly different. So I don't want to, you can look in the video and I have a breakdown of that, how they differ. But here we go for our Ace of Wands. Okay. Here's the Rider-Waite-Smith. These images are very familiar. Here's the Pagan Otherworlds. The Ace of Wands rules the summer months. It's pretty straightforward. So they're going to rule the season from Aries all the way down to Leo. So we're going to go from spring, summer, which is ruled by Cancer, into Leo, which is the tail end of summer. So this is our Ace of Wands. The aces rule the seasons in the tarot. And I'll explain the same for our other elements. Okay, so now we can go into our choose. Put this in order here. Okay. So our two, excuse me, our Two of Wands these are the dates, the decon dates, March 21st to 30th. This is 0 to 10 degrees. And this is Mars in Aries. Okay, so with that information right there, when we begin a new season, when we transition into a new season or a new month, a new sign, we're always in 0 to 10 degrees. Okay, so when we're transitioning into our signs, like from Aries into Taurus, the first week of that transitional phase, the first week of March, is 0 to 10 degrees. And then the following, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but just to give an explanation, our next card is going to be 10 to 20 degrees. And that's ruling from March 31st to April 10th. That's the Sun in Aries. So that's going to our second week. And then as we wind into our last week of that sign, we start going to 20 to 30 degrees. And we're always in that sun sign. We'll always be, in this case, in Aries. What's changing besides the degrees is our planets, association with the planets or our stars. So Mars is March 21st to the 30th, 0 to 10 degrees, and it's ruled by the Two of Wands. And Mars, as we know, is the planet of fiery energy. This is like a double whammy. But what's interesting is the interpretation, tarot-wise, is going to be different. Here for the Two of Wands, we start seeing the two staffs that are positioned, they're placed. It's almost like they're prepping, they're getting ready to go on to the next step. So there's no action here, but astrologically, this is the Two of Wands is a Mars and Aries decan, and it is encouraging movement and energy at this time. Start thinking about, start planning. And here with the Rider-Waite-Smith, we see a gentleman here holding his staff, making that motion to move forward, but also holding, his intention, what he plans to do ahead. So the thought is there. So 0 to 10 degrees, March 21st to the 30th, it's Mars in Aries, ruled by the Two of Wands. Now, I want to make this very simple, more as an introductory start for those who want to explore this. There's quite a bit of information online to get more into details, but basically, I think by you having a general understanding of the position, the relationship of the planet and the sign in relation to the astrological, in relation to the tarot card, that's where you could start interpreting the cards in a different direction. And that's specifically why I'm creating this series, to show that you can explore more outside of what you're seeing in the cards. You can bring in these other elements of astrology, which a lot of people do. Excuse me. And it could give further information and insight into your reading. So with that being said, let's keep going, because we have, again, quite a bit of cards here. Okay, so I mentioned, where is my twos? Here we go. These are getting mixed up here. Okay, actually I got this wrong. So for this card, we are 10 to 20 degrees. This is March 31st to April 10th. And this is Sun in Aries. Oh no, oh dear. No, this is Two of Wands, because there's no aces in the chart that I'm looking at. It's throwing me off a little bit. So this is the Two of Wands, obviously. It's Mars and Aries. So this is the first week in March, March 21st to the 30th, Mars and Aries. I'll get a grasp on this. It's just a lot of information here. Okay, so our Three of Wands, again, we're still in the sign of Aries. The first three cards in each suit will represent that month, that time frame. So now we are at Three of Wands. This is Sun in Aries, 10 to 20 degrees, March 31st to April 10th. This is Sun in Aries. Sun is vitality, energy, creativity. So how will we see the relationship of Sun and Aries, March 31st to April 10th, and these Three of Wands? How can we interject that energy? We already have the wands representing movement and creativity. And the Sun further explores this, encouraging the movement. Here in the Pig in Other Worlds, we see the staffs here very similar to the Two of Wands standing by. But it's building, we're starting to build. Threes are seen as building the foundation towards something. So use that Sun energy to start building towards your intentions. That's our Four of Wands. Okay, so this wraps up the month of Aries. We have a Four of Wands here. Four of Wands is ruled by Venus in Aries. So the relationship we see here of Venus would be more related to the beauty aspect that we see in this card, the happiness. Four is setting down those foundations. We're getting closer to our direction, our goal. You see the flowers here. It's almost like a stamp saying that we're there. And here, the Rider-Waite-Smith, we see the progress that's being made. Again, Venus is ruled by, well, in this card, it's placed for Venus in Aries. So Venus is related to beauty, to also good health. And also material aspects. It's just reflecting on the cards here for a moment. Okay, so that was 20 to 30 degrees, Venus in Aries. That is ruled by the Four of Wands. And that wraps up the Aries sign for that month. And that's April 11th to the 20th. So the first three cards, 2, 3, 4 of Wands, is ruled from March 21st to April 20th. And that covers, again, that time of Aries. And again, those three cards for that month represents Aries, but our planets move each week. So Mars in Aries, Sun in Aries, and then Venus in Aries. So our next three cards, get these here. The next three cards, what's our next fire sign after Aries? We're moving into the summer month of Leo, the tail end of the summer. So we are going to be going into the Five of Wands. So we're going to be 0 to 10 degrees, as I mentioned. Each time we go into a new sign, the very first week of the month that sign is in, we're at 0 to 10 degrees. And this card for our Five of Wands is ruled by Saturn and Leo. Fives we know is challenges, conflict, some disarray, which we see here in the Rider-Waite-Smith version here. The way we can interpret the pagan otherworlds, fives, it's just that these staffs are just not placed in order. They're sort of like just haphazardly placed there, and they're like, we'll get back to it another time. It's just not organized. It needs to build structure, which it doesn't have. So our Five of Wands is Saturn and Leo. And this begins the first week of Leo, which we're starting in this week, July 22nd to August 1st. Again, it's the first week in Leo, and it's 0 to 10 degrees, Saturn and Leo. So Saturn, as we know, is structure, discipline, putting things in order. It's encouraging us. And also in the sign of Leo, Leo is when it's ruled by the sun, but is one of vitality and creativity and good health. Saturn is putting in structure during that first week, July 22nd, August 1st. It's a time to focus on the structure that Leo has in what it's going to be presenting and what it's working towards, what it's going to be showing to other people. We don't want to see this this unstructured situation. We don't want to see this. We don't want to have this conflict. So with Saturn and Leo ruling this card here, the Five of Wands, it can allow us to take more control of the situation, not let it run off the rails. Start solving the issue. Pull these people apart and start working together. Start working together as a group to problem solve and to get things in a more structured situation. Okay, our Six of Wands is 10 to 20 degrees, August 2nd to August 11th. This is Jupiter in Leo. Okay. Jupiter deals with abundance, success, luck, victory. And we see this in both of these cards. The Rider-Waite-Smith, we see a person who put that structure into what they were working on or they were trying to organize. And it was successful. This person, the Rider-Waite-Smith, is showing the outcome of his success, his endeavors, and people are praising him. There's the laurel wreath on his head to show victory, show success. Again, this is Jupiter in Leo at 10 to 20 degrees, August 2nd to August 11th. And here we see subtle examples of this in the pagan otherworld. No person involved, but we see an intricate ribbon wrapped around these wands to show that, again, strife, conflict was overcome, it was handled with. And then we have the laurel wreath on top to show success. It's a marker to show that we have overcome and, to go on to the next phase. So again, this is Saturn in Leo. Jupiter in Leo, Six of Wands. And this is ruling August 2nd to August 11th. And when you go through these decans, you will find, your astrological, I guess I could say, tarot card based on the decan. So all these dates that I'm announcing in the link that I'm going to be putting on in the bottom of the description, you can find out what your card is, or just follow monthly, as we're now getting ready to move into Leo, start seeing how the planets and the signs interact in relation to your tarot readings. It's a different exercise. It's a different way of approaching the tarot. And I'm always looking for something, to challenge, how we do our readings and stuff, instead of doing spreads, layouts, and whatnot. Alrighty, so we are in Seven of Wands. Okay, so we are winding down the rotation of the planets. We have 7 to 8 planets, and they go through each element, and then they start back again. So for our 2, 3, and 4 of Wands, we're Mars, Sun, Venus, and then actually no, this is different because they have the order is set up differently to go into Pentacles, but basically the order that the planets go in, they go in Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon, Saturn, Jupiter, and then back to Mars. Then Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars. So about seven different planets that goes through each of the signs. Probably within, let's see, It goes within a season. So from Aries all the way down to Gemini is when it starts. So from March 21st to May 21st, I want to make sure, to May 21st to 31st, it goes through all 7 planets. Hard to explain it, but once you read it and you associate it with the tarot, you'll see the order. So going back, here is our 7 of Wands. 7 of Wands, we're winding down the month of Leo. So we're going 20 to 30 degrees. This will represent the last week of Leo. And this is going to be, 20, 30 degrees. We are going into Mars and Leo. So again, we have Mars, the challenges, conflict, which we see here with the Rider-Waite-Smith. And here, with the Pig in Other Worlds, the conflict that we see, or the challenges, is the crossing of the wands. We have one wand that's stable, while we have 6 other wands that are crisscrossing each other. It's a time to just sort of look at what's been done so far. And if there's any changes that needs to be made, this is the time to do it. 7 is a time of inner reflection. What caused this crisscross? What actions, what paths did you take that caused this? So again, this is 20, 30 degrees, August 12th to the 22nd. 7 of Wands, this is Mars in Leo. So we have an interesting dynamic here too, because Mars and the Sun. Sun is our life source. Mars is, the movement. So we have those 2 energies. They can conflict, but they need to be balanced. One's more aggressive. The other one is life-giving, vitality-given, which is the Sun. So Mars shouldn't really take too much advantage of that vitality. You can exhaust it. You could deplete yourself by getting that fiery Sun energy and using it so much that you're not really paying attention to your actions, which in turn would lead to conflict. So again, this is Mars in Leo, 20, 30 degrees, and this is going August 12th to the 22nd. Now our last 3 cards. What's our next fire sign after Leo? We have Sagittarius. So these last 3 cards are going to be, they are fire oriented, but they are influenced more in the season of winter. So the months that we're going to see these in is going to be the month of Sagittarius. So we have here our 0 to 10 degrees. Mercury in Sagittarius. My lighting's changing, so just bear with me here. So we have a lot of movement here. Sagittarius is all about adventure, taking chances, exploration. But with Mercury in Sagittarius, and this is the dates, 0 degrees to 10 degrees, November 23rd to December 2nd. These are the 8 of Wands. So Mercury in Sagittarius. Mercury, we know, involves communication and how we express ourselves. Mercury In Sagittarius, we have an air sign and a fire sign. Those two can actually work together. One attribute of Sagittarius is that they're always looking for something different. They like the abnormal. They like to explore, and they like different things. They like to learn. They will do what they can to achieve that understanding of higher knowledge, or understanding someone that's different. They will spend that time to communicate and learn from that person or from the environment that they're in. If there was a conflict that they weren't aware of, Mercury in Sagittarius would be open to that and take in the environment that they're in and learn from it. Okay, so again, this is November 23rd, December 2nd, 0-10 degrees, 8 of Wands. Next, 9 of Wands. Now these three cards are all going to be placed in Sagittarius, as I mentioned. The decans go from 0 to 30. The first week is 0 to 10, 10 to 20 is the second week, 20 to 30 is the last week. And the sign, the astrological sign, stays the same, only the planet changes. So here we are, 9 of Wands, Moon in Sagittarius, 10 to 20 degrees, ruling the week of December 3rd to the 12th. Each week is a decan. 0, 10 degrees, 10 to 20, 20, 30, those are the decans. Those are the positions that the planets move in. Okay, so we have here the Moon in Sagittarius. Okay, now we normally know the 9 of Wands to represent, we're coming towards a head, but it's been a lot of work. It's been a challenge to get to this point. And again, look at the position of the wands. Almost there, almost completed. But there's that one wand that needs to still be addressed. So the Moon in Sagittarius will be more our feelings about the situation that we've experienced so far. Really taking a look at what's been completed. You may have some wounds and whatnot, but I don't think that's going to stop you from, not finishing the goal. Emotionally, really be insightful during this time, during the Moon in Sagittarius. Again, those cards, the 9 of Wands, 10 to 20 degrees, December 3rd to the 12th. Excuse me. Okay, then our last card, 10 of Wands, 20 to 30 degrees. We're in the last week of Sagittarius, and that's December 13th to the 22nd, and that is ruled by Saturn. Here we have Saturn. The discipline of Saturn in Sagittarius. Again, structure, pulling everything together. This could be a challenge for Sagittarius because Sagittarius are that free spirit and whatnot, to explore and whatnot. But when it comes time to pulling everything together, Saturn is there to remind you to, work within limitations. You will have some challenges and you're going to have to work within those. So with our 10 of Wands, This is December 13th to the 22nd. The Decan, 20 to 30 degrees, is ruled by Saturn and Sagittarius. 10 of Wands. And then this cycle begins again. So I'll do a recap halfway into the reading. So for anyone who's coming into the middle, they'll get a sense as to what's going on with the decans. So that was our wands ruled by our fire signs. And all of the planets that I will be going through with the rest of these elements will be reoccurring. So we have Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon, Saturn, Jupiter. And again, it goes Mars, Sun, Venus. They'll transition. These planets will move through all these elements and will put its influence into that sign and how to read it into the card. So I'm going to place these here. Let me take a drink of water here. Okay, I had talked at the beginning for the Minor Arcana, and I'll mention it for the next other elements. The aces represent a season. So they're not going to represent a particular sign. That falls into the court cards, that falls into the planets and the sign that that element is in. So for our Ace of Cups, I have to see here because it is slightly different. Our Ace of Cups rules, let's see here, we go into we're really more into the summer, going into the fall. Now, there'll be different interpretations of this. Ace of Cups. So, for me, I will stick to the Ace of Cups representing primarily summer, going into the early part of fall. Because as we go through these decans in the cup elements, we're going to see the seasons move from summer into fall. So the Ace of Cups, summer, early fall. Alrighty, so our Two of Cups. This is Venus in Cancer, which is actually my planet sign placement for Venus. So we have Two of Cups. Two of Cups is that card that a lot of people like to have a few times in their life to show up in a reading. This is 0 to 10 degrees. So remember, as we start into a new sign, we are 0 to 10 degrees. And then once we're in that sign, we go into the next week, 10 to 20 degrees. So June 21st to July 1st, 0 to 10 degrees, Venus in Cancer, ruled by the Two of Cups. The Two of Cups is of friendship, family, balance, harmony. And what's interesting with the Page in Other Worlds, I'm just going to move up. If you look at it really quickly, it actually looks like it could be two dogs, two wolves, but you can see it's just two stones that have just sort of fallen and merged together over time. So, I'm sorry, not Mercury in Cancer. This is Venus in Cancer, Two of Cups, June 21st to July 1st. Okay, so our first three cards are going to cover. It's the same with all the elements. The first three cards, as we start each suit, will represent an astrological sign. The planets will be changing. So we have Three of Cups. Now this is Mercury in Cancer. We're recently in retrograde. We just finally moved out of the storm phase today. Mercury in Cancer is a hard one. Air and water. This is 10 to 20 degrees. This is the second week in July 12th to the 21st. I'm sorry, July 2nd to the 11th. Mercury in Cancer, Three of Cups. Again, we see harmony, friendship, celebration. Mercury in Cancer. Quite the opposite of what we see in these cards here. Mercury involves the thought process, communication, while Cancer is, related to the emotions, feelings, how we react to things. So with Mercury in Cancer, the Three of Cups indicating, friendship, harmony, wanting to do things with other people. With Mercury in Cancer, I would have to say that it's a time where your emotions and your way of thinking have to merge. Your heart and your mind have to communicate very well during that week of July 2nd to the 11th. Don't let your emotions go overboard, but also don't let your mind hold you back or start thinking too much. You need to blend those two aspects, your emotions and your mind, to getting things, making the right choices. There are times where you just happen to make the right decision and it just felt right. That's an example of Mercury in Cancer. You hear people saying, well, I got lucky, I just made the right choice. Maybe you did, but there are some people that they just felt it was the right thing to do. Intuitively, they knew it, they rationalized it, they put those two realms together, Mercury and Cancer, and the outcome produced good results. So that's what happens with our Three of Cups. Making those right-minded decisions from the heart, and you're celebrating it with everyone. Four of Cups, Moon in Cancer, perfect placement. Four of Cups is July 12th to the 21st. We're wrapping up the time in Cancer, which we are in right now. 20 to 30 degrees. So 20 to 30 degrees is the last week for that sign. So we have 20 to 30 degrees, Moon in Cancer, July 12th to the 21st. This is ruled by the Four of Cups. So this is a card that basically is all about feelings. Taking that time, and we're actually in a new moon in Cancer. Taking the time to see these options emotionally, what has happened. Start balancing your thoughts with your heart. You may have made a wrong decision. Emotionally things may have gone off track, and the results weren't good. So use this time, Moon in Cancer, just to emotionally think about the whole situation that you've been in. This is Moon in Cancer. July 12th to the 21st, that's 20 to 30 degrees, and it's ruled by the Four of Cups. And that again is Moon in Cancer. Five of Cups. Challenges, conflict, strife. I don't want to go too much into the explanation of each of the cards. This is primarily a tutorial about the decans and interpreting the placement of the signs and their planets in relation to the tarot. All right, Five of Cups. So we are going into, remember what I was saying? The first three cards ruled by Cancer. We're going to go through the other two water signs, and we're going through them seasonally. So each element, Wands, Cups, Swords, Pentacles, will represent transition of the signs in each during the season that sign is in. Okay, so we have Five of Cups, which is Mars and Scorpio. So we are now in the planet of Mars, 0 to 10 degrees. It's ruling October 23rd, November 2nd. So again, these dates that I have, you can make reference to them. If you're born during these particular weeks, you can use the planet placement, the sign in the card. It's a meditation card. And Five of Cups. Everything's just a mess. You have 3 cups here facing downward, 2 up. There's just no emotional control. Everything's lost. Mars and Scorpio. This is a card that indicates inner strife. It's different from the Four of Cups. The Four of Cups is just bringing awareness of what's been happening so far. 5 moves into that situation that you're in it now. How are you going to manage that? Mars, the fiery planet. Scorpio, fixed sign, a fiery water sign, very passionate, emotional, intuitive. They move from their heart, they move from their feelings. It's a matter of controlling that. Mars and Scorpio. This could be a very dangerous placement if it's not maintained and managed. So let's see what happens with our Six of Cups. Our next sign on Mars and Scorpio, just to backtrack, 0 to 10 degrees, October 23rd to November 2nd. That's Mars and Scorpio. Five of Cups. Six of Cups, 10 to 20 degrees. We're in that second week now. Moving into November, the first week of November. We are now in the Sun in Scorpio. So things are a little bit better. Okay. Once you've resolved those issues of the Mars and Scorpio, the Sun, again, is life-giving. You're given another chance, if you will. You've come out of that dark situation and things look much better, are starting to look better. You have to see what's going to happen in the next few cards. Anything like that could change it. So here is our Six of Cups. Sun in Scorpio. And that's November 3rd to the 12th. Rule 10 to 20 degrees. Okay. start also seeing a pattern when we go from Mars, Sun, Venus. When you look at these cards, as the planets move through the decans, start looking at the energy of the card and start seeing if you start seeing a pattern, because there is a pattern that's going on. If you pull Mars, Sun, Venus in each of these elements, you'll probably see a time of difficulty and then a time of possibilities, and then success. We're going to be going from late winter, ruled by the moon. They are drawn by the energy of the moon. It's also a card of disillusion. And then here we have the Eight of Cups in both cards. Saturn in Pisces. Person in the Rider-Waite-Smith is not really paying attention to those cups. He started building towards something and just kind of walked away from it. And here we have the moon slowly rising, but the look on its face is just like, it's a form of disconnection. And the Eight of Cups are just floating there. They're there, but they have no placement, no direction. By the looks of the cups, that they're both empty. So Saturn in Pisces is a form of bringing that illusionary state into some form of, structure. Putting limits on it. Don't go too far out. Bring these elements into order, because if you don't, you'll be lost. You'll just be floating around. Those Eight of Cups will just be there, and they won't have any directions. You need to put structure into what you're doing when you have Saturn in Pisces. And again, this is February 19th to the 28th, 0 to 10 degrees. This is our first week in Pisces. As we go from Aquarius into Pisces, this is the first week of the decan. And it's ruled by Saturn in Pisces. Number 9. Nine of Cups. Nine of Cups is Jupiter in Pisces. Again, all these signs, all these cards will remain in Pisces. Only our planets are going to be moving as we go through each weekly decan. So this is March 1st to the 10th, 10 to 20 degrees. So we're in the middle of the month of Pisces. And this is Jupiter in Pisces. Jupiter is of abundance, success. And we see it here. We see the gentleman here with all the cups lined up behind him. He got his game together. And the same here. Alrighty. That'll be a nice chunk to edit out. So our Mars in Pisces, 10 of Cups, is 20 to 30 degrees. And Mars, again, is all of action, getting these emotions in order, getting things all moving to complete what is needed to be done emotionally. Just happiness. Okay, almost there. So I'm just going to recap here. I think this is a good place to discuss what what I've been doing so far. So we're halfway into the Minor Arcana, and I've done the Wands, done the Cups. We're going to move into the Swords and Pentacles. The Decans represent degrees within the month of that astrological sign. So we have from 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. Each week represents a decan. It represents the planet that is ruling that astrological sign for that week. So each week, for the first 3 cards in each suit, which represents a month, that planet will be influencing that sign. Okay, so Mars in Aries, Sun in Aries, Venus in Aries represents the month of Aries, but the actions of those planets will influence that sign in relation to those tarot cards. Mars in Aries is 2 of Wands, Sun in Aries is 3 of Wands, Venus in Aries is 4 of Wands. Once again, I will put a link for a chart that you can follow this through, and you can use it as a guide to read through your tarot and get an astrological feel. Now, I'm choosing these decks specifically, Rider-Waite-Smith and the Pagan Otherworlds, because they're very simple with their imagery. Rider-Waite-Smith is a deck that a lot of people just start out with when they're learning the tarot. So I'm trying to keep this really simple. I don't want to go complex on it. I just want people to have dates if they want to follow through, the planet's association with the sign and how it affects it each week and month and season. Okay, so with that being said, I had mentioned earlier, here we go with the aces. The aces represent seasons in the Minor Arcana. So our Ace of Swords is now moving into our winter months, which you would think is Pentacles, but the decans here that I'm using is through the Golden Dawn Correspondences. So the way they have these dates, the decans all set up, will be more associated with the Thoth Tarot. I'm not using the Thoth Tarot, as I mentioned. That's going to be something very different. I want to make this easy so that you can apply the decans to your tarot decks. Now, these decans may not be all easy to associate with certain tarot decks. So some of it may be Greek and you're just like, I don't get it. So look at the decks that you have, print out the charts that, the link that I'll have, and just associate it and see how it resonates with you. So Ace of Swords is season. We are going into the winter months right now. So we were in Scorpio. We were in the last water sign. And that was also falling into the tail end of fall, going into winter. Oops. Moon in Libra, 0 to 10 degrees, September 23rd to October 2nd. Trying to balance the thoughts, trying to focus. We have the crescent moon that's up above, which is apropos for this card, being the moon in Libra. And we have the crossing of the swords, crossing of 2 different ways of thinking. Our moon is waning here too. This is a time to really give space for our thoughts. The moon is ruled by the water. Libra, we know, is an air sign, so that can sometimes be a challenge. You don't want your emotions to overrule your way of thinking. So this is our 2 of Swords. This is Moon in Libra, September 23rd to October 2nd, 0 to 10 degrees. Okay. Everyone's card that just like, oh God, Three of Swords. Or Three of Swords. And here we have the swords going through the heart. This is the rationality ruling over the heart, taking control. It's the crux of a Saturn and Libra, Three of Swords card. 10 to 20 degrees, October 3rd to the 12th. So use the energy of Saturn in Libra. In this case, your decisions are of more importance than emotionally overreacting. You're using logic, you're rationalizing the situation. And also over-rationalizing can actually break down and weaken the heart. Okay. Four of Swords. Four of Swords, Jupiter in Libra. 20 to 30 degrees. We are in the last week of Libra. 20 to 30 degrees, October 13th to the 22nd. Four of Swords, Jupiter in Libra. And look at this, it's like, okay, how does Jupiter in Libra work with these cards? Jupiter is all about luck and abundance. And I mean, granted, with the Four of Swords, you can actually interpret Jupiter in Libra as a means of making these choices, being contemplative, thinking before you actually do something, to really look at everything. It's Jupiter in Libra. Think before you take action. Okay, so we are 3 cards into our sword, so we are moving into a new air sign. So after Libra, we have Aquarius. And that's going to be our, let's see here, make sure I got the right order here, Venus in Aquarius, which is 0 to 10 degrees, January 20th, doing it again, January 20th to the 29th. And this is a very stormy setting for both of these cards. Rider Smith, we see him holding 2 of the swords. The one he's loosely holding, the other 2 are just on the ground. His compadres are sort of walking away from the situation. The same here, we have 3 swords that are crossed, 2 that are just stuck in the ground. We see the storm clouds approaching. The situation, thought-wise, was not handled very well. Choices were made that only one person was able to acknowledge, while his compadres are just, they're like, this is not going to work. And this is Venus in Aquarius. A different way of seeing things. Here a choice was made, but his choice was just so out there, other 2 people just could not deal with it. You stick by your beliefs, Venus in Aquarius. You stand by your beliefs. They may be visionary, they may be out of the ordinary thoughts, but if you firmly believe in that and you feel it's going to better what lies ahead, then you stick to it. But here, as I mentioned, the choices that was made may not be in line with everyone else, the way they think. So there's going to be a conflict with that. Venus in Aquarius. And that is January 20th to the 29th. So let's see the results. Mercury in Aquarius, we are 10 to 20 degrees, January 30th to February 8th. Mercury in Aquarius. Communicating, moving away from the situation. Six of Swords could actually be something for the better. You're making these thoughts that you have to get away from the situation. And as I mentioned with the Five of Swords, follow your thoughts. This could be for the better. You're having to make sacrifices. You may have to release a lot of the way that you were thinking before just to make a change for the better. And that's Mercury in Aquarius, Six of Swords, 10 to 20 degrees, January 30th to February 8th. Seven of Swords, so we're heading into our last sign, our last air sign, last week. And this is Moon in Aquarius, Seven of Swords. (20 to 30 degrees is the last week of Aquarius, February 9th to the 18th, ruled by the Moon in Aquarius. All right, so Seven of Swords, we normally see of deception and maybe talking more than you can actually follow through with. We see different variations of the Seven of Swords in this card for Moon in Aquarius. Emotionally, how are you deceiving yourself? What are you saying? What are you saying to yourself? What are you saying to others that you think they will follow and believe you in your thoughts? Moon in Aquarius, Seven of Swords. Difficult card to, at times, interpret, even on its own, especially when you have the planets and sign involved. Are the changes that you're talking about, do you feel those are going to be valid? Something to consider. Seven of Swords, Moon in Aquarius. The last week of Aquarius, 20 to 30 degrees. Okay. So we are in our last three cards. Go here. Is it Eight of Swords? I'm sorry, I forgot our other air sign, Gemini. 8, 9, 10. And so now we were in the season of winter, and now from winter we're moving into I guess you could say, late spring, which Gemini rules. So we're going to have here the Eight of Swords, which is May 21st to the 31st, 0 to 10 degrees, Eight of Swords. Eight of Swords is ruled by Jupiter and Gemini. So again, when we have a planet which is leaning more on the positive side or on the negative side, and it's placed in the sign, and the card that the planet and the sign rule, if it's counter to what both the planet and sign mean, it's just a means of interpreting that you have to pay a little bit more attention. So here we have Jupiter in Gemini. May 21st to 31st, the first week of Gemini, 8 of Swords. A lot of thought has been put into things, but you are still bound. It's like you feel, it's like how much further can you go? Jupiter in Gemini is just a sign of letting you know that keep going on the right path. You're almost there. Again, you could take this time to reevaluate what's been done. But here with the Rider-Waite-Smith, we see a person who just doesn't want to see what's been done and maybe wants to take a break and just wants to kind of walk away from it. All the swords are balanced. They're all upright. Not one of them is down or anything. They are in its place. This could be a time to take a rest. And that's Jupiter in Gemini, May 21st to the 31st, 0 to 10 degrees. So again, we're in our first week of Gemini. Nine of Swords, we're still in Gemini. Mars in Gemini, June 1st to the 10th, representing 10 to 20 degrees. Overwhelmed. Too much. You see the beautiful swan who is actually shackled. And it's sort of stagnant right now because it can't move. Its own thoughts is paralyzing their way of moving forward, thinking forward. This is a difficult sign, conflict of thought. And then once we've gone through that, 10 of Swords, June 11th to the 20th, 20 to 30 degrees, Sun in Gemini. Now this sort of counters with the Sun, which is fire, and Gemini, which is air. Your thoughts need to take a moment. Sun in Gemini, 10 of Wands. I'm stating it like this. You need to take a moment to really reflect on what's been done, but by not doing so, this is what happens. You have defeat. You let your thoughts get the best of you and overwhelm you. And here we have thorns wrapped in and out of these swords. And they're not even swords anymore. They're like large nails. The skull, the head, the mind. This is a card of defeat. 10 of Swords, Sun in Gemini, June 11th to the 20th, 20 to 30 degrees. So with our air signs, Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini, going through the seasons from fall, winter, late winter to early summer, late spring, there's a lot of challenges that go on because we have the placement of these planets in relation to their signs. I mean, to recap, Swords 2, 3, and 4, Moon in Libra, Saturn in Libra, Jupiter in Libra, in those successions. Moon in Libra is 2 of Swords, Saturn in Libra is 3 of Swords, and Jupiter in Libra is 4 of Swords. These planets, in relation to their air signs, really challenge these signs in the way that they think and how they make their choices and their decision. I wish I can say that the Swords were all happy. There are, but again, it's placed in the layout in relation to in relation to the other cards. And the Swords are just reminders of, how we use our thoughts and how we connect it to our heart or how we don't. Alrighty. Okay. Our aces again. We are now Ace of Pentacles. Ace of Pentacles. We are now, I believe, let me see here according to this. Let me see. Yes, it is still staying to winter. Ace of Pentacles represents the beginning of winter, or winter solstice. And the signs and the decans that we'll be exploring through the Minor Arcana with Pentacles will go through the seasons. So we're going to start with 2, 3, and 4 for December. And that's going to more than likely be Capricorn. Okay, so 0, 10 degrees, November 23rd to December 2nd. This one here. Jupiter and Capricorn. The balance of wealth, material energy, learning to work with all different forms of material aspects, work, family, and balancing it. Jupiter is of luck and of abundance. So this is our 2 of Pentacles. And this is Jupiter in Capricorn, December 23rd to 30th, 0 to 10 degrees. Jupiter in Capricorn. And our 10 to 20 degrees, December 31st to January 9th, or 3 of Coins. We are now in Mars in Capricorn. Mars in Capricorn, 10 to 20 degrees, December 31st to January 9th, 3 of Coins. Using the energy to work with people to build resources, to connect, to continue the progression towards sustenance, making that foundation secure. So 3 of Pentacles, ruled by Mars and Capricorn. We know Capricorn, Capricorn's ruled by Saturn, but the energy of Mars is good for Capricorn because it keeps that momentum going. Very important with with Pentacles, coins. These signs do not like to be stagnant. They like to keep moving. So it's really important when we have these cards that the planets that they're influenced in will enhance that energy to keep going. There'll be some planets here that will show conflict. But again, when you're doing a layout, those cards that are around a potentially conflicting card will either support them to continue going in a certain direction for the betterment, or maybe a time to take a moment to stop and see where you've been so far. So we have our Four of Coins. And this is Sun in Capricorn. So again, this is holding on to what we've had. There's nothing wrong with that, but you also need to put investment back into what you've worked so hard for. This is 20 to 30 degrees, January 10th to the 19th. Excuse me. We are in the last week of Capricorn. This is Sun in Capricorn, ruled by the Four of Coins. Pentacles to me are almost self-explanatory. They're just, you have the foundation, you already have that growth of towards material goals and health, but you also have to reinvest into what you've created to keep it going. This is Sun in Capricorn. And that was 20 to 30 degrees. That is the last week of Capricorn. So we're going to move into our next Earth sign for the suit of Pentacles. The next sign that we have following Capricorn is Taurus. And let me see the order for this here. April 21st to the 30th, 0 to 10 degrees, the decan, Mercury and Taurus. Again, we know the fives to be of conflict, Mercury and Taurus. Some choices were made that we had hoped that would lead to continued abundance and happiness. So even though the fives are a card of challenge, it's also a time of awareness and to learn what was done, what choices were made that put you in that situation at that time. The cards to follow will show what choices were made. And of course, when you do a layout, that will play an influence. But again, this is Mercury and Taurus with the Five of Pentacles. April 21st to the 30th, 0 to 10 degrees. So just be careful with thoughts that are made during that week, April 21st to the 30th. That's next year already. But also, if you are born during that week, use that planet placed in that sign, Mercury and Taurus, as a guide to making better choices. So we have now our Six of Coins, which is our moon in Taurus, May 1st to the 10th. I almost want to say the Six of Taurus is like a card of recovery. I can relate to this card. This is May 1st to the 10th, 10 to 20 degrees. We're in the middle of the month of Taurus. This is the moon in Taurus. Emotionally, how do we feel about what's happened? Emotionally, how we moved out of that situation with the Five of Pentacles, to grow from it, to recover, and to have maybe some extra abundance and to share it with other people. It's the moon in Taurus, Five Pentacles. Six of Pentacles, May 1st to the 10th, 10 to 20 degrees. So we are now heading into our last sign, or last week in Taurus. Seven of Pentacles. Saturn in Taurus, which I think is a very good planet to have Taurus in. This is May 11th to the 20th, 20 to 30 degrees. This is discipline in the sign of Taurus. This is hard work. This is all the focus and blood, sweat, and tears that you put to get to where you are. Now it's a time to just look at what's been created, what's been built, what's the foundation, how is it looking? What's the next step? What can you build upon? Do you need to make any changes? Excuse me. Saturn in Taurus, May 11th to the 20th, 20 to 30 degrees. This is a very great placement for Taurus. Taurus are very determined. Discipline comes in different factors, but once you put your mind to something, and it's something that you really enjoy and you really believe in it, you will make it happen. And that's what the Seven of Coins is about, building that discipline from Saturn, working within the limitations that you may have, but still making it work. Okay, our last three cards, we're moving into the next Earth sign. Earth sign after Taurus is now Virgo. So we're going to be into our Eight of Pentacles. I have to go down my chart here. What is my Eight? Okay. This is now, we're moving into the tail end of summer, fall. Again, remember, each of these arcanas, their elements, they represent three signs, and seasonally we go through each of those signs and each element. Sun in Virgo, August 23rd to September 1st, 0 to 10 degrees. Eight of Coins. The time of continued focus, putting a lot of thought. Virgos are analytical, they're detailed, they're perfectionists. This is a time, this is a card of fine-tuning what's been created. You're still continuing on your set intention. You've made your choices, it's time to maybe tweak a few things here and there, but you are set in your path. This is the Sun in Virgo. And this is the Eight of Coins. August 23rd to September 1st, 0 to 10 degrees. This is the first week of Virgo. Its influence. Nine of Pentacles. What planet rules Nine of Pentacles? This is going to be in the sign of Virgo. Yeah, I'm trying to see here. Where is my nine? Venus. Venus in Virgo. 10 to 20 degrees, September 2nd to the 11th. Venus in Virgo. All the hard work, all the fine detail, craftsmanship you put in, it's turned out to produce beautiful results. It's Venus in Virgo. You see the bird here, falcon. Right on top of the Nine of Swords. Or I'm sorry, the Nine of Pentacles. Hello. All your hard work, perfection, it's paid off. Venus in Virgo, September 2nd to the 11th, 10 to 20 degrees. And winding up, we are in our 10 of coins, or 10 of pentacles. We did it. Saturn, nope. Mercury in Virgo, a very good compliment. Because Mercury is ruled by Virgo. Or Virgo is ruled by Mercury. It is influenced, it is enhanced. Perfectionism at its best. This is the last week in September for Virgo, the sign of Virgo, September 12th to the 22nd. This is 20 to 30 degrees. Mercury in Virgo. It's a culmination of all the planets that we went through. The discipline, the attention to detail, the hard work, the Mars and Taurus, the focus, the intention, the fixation of having that conviction of what you really love and believe in. You're going to make it through. That's the power of the Suit of Pentacles. There are some challenges. It's all material, health, well-being oriented. But depending on the placement of the planets and their signs in relation to the decans in the season and in the layout, you can achieve the completion of these goals if this is what you really want. Ten of Pentacles. It's actually listed in the middle of the chart, so I can't really see it. Mercury in Virgo, 10 of Pentacles, September 12th to the 22nd, 20 to 30 degrees. And that wraps up the fall season. So we started spring with the fire signs, and then we went through summer with the fire signs, and then we went through fall. Also cups, I should say cups falls in the spring, summer, and then fall. We went through the swords, fall into winter. And then pentacles, we come into winter, into spring. So as you can see, there is a lot of information to pull with this, and the more you practice with this astrologically and relating it to your tarot practice, the more you will be able to pull information into a reading. And again, some of these signs and the planets, the placements that they're in relation to the decans, and also the type of cards, the type of deck that you're working with, may show some conflicts. So when you're in a situation where you have a planet and a sign in a particular minor arcana card, and it's just not connecting, still relate it, because even though if the planet and the sign is in a negative form and the card is in a positive, it may more than likely be telling you to look at another side of it. Whenever you do the tarot, it's always going to be, each card represents, I feel, something negative and positive. When you reverse it, but sometimes you don't have to reverse the card. It's all in the placement of how the cards are in the layout. So there's a lot to take into consideration. This is a good exercise to work with if you want to start bringing astrology into your tarot practice. It's complex. Don't overwhelm yourself. Pick a time of the year that you feel works best for you. Right now we're in midsummer, we're starting to move into fall. So maybe work with the cards that represent those seasons. So for, let's say, probably Ace of Cups, and then Swords to represent going to fall. Ace of Cups, late spring, summer. Maybe start working with those. Swords, as we start moving into fall, September, October. And also the water signs, they move into seasonal aspects as well. Scorpio is a fall sign. Aquarius is a late winter sign, midwinter. And then we have Pisces, which is early spring. So take a look at all these aspects. Again, I will post a link to charts and information. I'll probably use the same chart that I used in my previous post, and when I do the Major Arcana, the next ones, so that you can see, you could print it out and use it as reference when you go through your tarot deck. I think it's fascinating. A lot of people are starting to move into astrology who've been practicing the tarot. They want to take it another step. And there are some decks that are out there that incorporate some of the decans. Some are just simple, just the astrological signs and the glyph, the sign of the astrological sign itself. Also the planets. I think the planets should be represented a little bit more in tarot cards because those two mesh together. It just adds another level to learn the tarot from working with astrology. So that is it. All the information, as I mentioned, I'll put a link or two so you could download and print out some of these charts. I have a link on my website that you can look at that breaks down the signs and the planets and the decans. And just have fun with this. Don't go over your head. Practice, do a few practice readings, write down notes, and just start from there. I'm not an astrologer, obviously, as you could tell by the way that I'm looking at a chart, but I like to infuse planets and signs and sometimes houses into my readings. It just adds so much more to it. Have a wonderful day, evening. My name's Amy. I'm the Mystic Rose Tarot. This is part 2 of the astrological signs and decans relating to the tarot. We just covered the Minor Arcana. My last video, part 3, because I'm doing backwards, I went from the court card to the Minor Arcana. Part 3 will be exclusively of the Major Arcana and the archetypes, the planets, and the signs. There's no decans specifically for the archetypes. In the Major Arcana, we're going to focus specifically on the planets and the signs. Not all the archetypes have signs and planets into them, so we're going to explore that in relationship as to why one card has a sign and it doesn't have a planet assigned to it, and vice versa. My website's www.themysticrosetarot.com. On Instagram, you can find me under the same name, The Mystic Rose Tarot. And then, of course, here on YouTube, The Mystic Rose Tarot. I am growing with my videos. Technically, I don't have any equipment to work with the exception of my computer. So my lighting, sound has also been an issue. So I appreciate